Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Hari Om to all of you. So we just quickly will recap what we have covered or where we stopped last time. We stopped at chapter 12, verse number 17. So we're supposed to do the last three verses, 18, 19, and 20 of chapter 12. Now, just to give an overall recap, as you all know, the Bhagavad Gita is divided into three equal portions of 6 chapters each. So there are 3 sadhanas to practice for all devotees of the Lord in order to merge with the Lord, in order to be one with the Lord. There are 3 sadhanas. So the first 6 chapters explain the path of karma, yoga, sadhana, which is the path of selfless action. And what is the purpose of performing selfless action? Purpose of performing selfless action is to eradicate the impurities in our mind, like ego, anger, jealousy, pride, etc. So one aspect of the mind, karma yoga sadhana, helps us to deal with that aspect of the mind. The second aspect of the mind is what we call the monkey mind, or the mind that cannot sit still in one place. So what is the remedy for that? The middle 6 chapters of the Gita, 7 to 12, the remedy given is Bhakti Yoga. Now, in Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti is basically devotion. But how does Krishna present devotion, the path of devotion? In order for us to stabilize our mind, he presents himself. See, we always want to know, if I am to be devoted, if I need to pray to a God, I need to know something about God, isn't it? Who is this God? Where is this God? What is the nature of this God? So Krishna presents to us 2 levels of divinity in chapter 7 to 12. What are the 2 levels of divinity? One is Saguna Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara means the Lord which has a form. So he says, you can pray to me in any form that attracts you. Krishna, Rama, Hanuman, Devi, Ganesha, whichever form, Shiva, whatever attracts you, you pray to that form. What is the purpose of praying to the form? Is to make your mind single pointed. Then he also tells us there is another aspect of divinity besides the form, Saguna. There is a higher form which is called Nirguna, which is formless. Now, here, this is where sometimes we also get into confusion. Now, which form is higher? Which form is higher? Which form takes you straight to moksha? Form or formless? Formless. So even the Vedas say this. I've sent you these notes, I think, in your WhatsApp chat. If you look at the notes which I sent, excuse me, on the 23rd of December. In one part of, in 2 Vedas, it's mentioned, na tasya pratima asti, which means Lord has no form. There is no likeness to that form. It means Lord is basically no form. So sometimes we ourselves get confused. If the Vedas, now the Vedas are the highest authority, nothing can override the Vedas. So we must accept that this, what the Veda is saying, is correct, that there is no form of Lord. Then we ask ourselves the question, then why am I praying to a form? If Lord has no form and is categorically stated that in the Vedas, that there is no form of the Lord, then why are we praying to the Lord with form? Why do we go to temples? Why do we pray and worship to all these idols? And that's where we also get confused. So what is the answer to that? Sorry? Yes, focus the mind is true, but what are you trying to do? If he says Lord has no form, then why not we just focus straight away on the unmanifest? So the answer also is answer is this. Now, when we talk about this statement from the Vedas, it does come from the Vedas, but which part of the Vedas? Remember, I told you the Vedas have got two portions. What are the two portions? What are the two portions? The two main portions of every Veda has got two sections: Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. So this statement that God is no form comes from where? Karma Kanda or Jnana Kanda? Comes from Jnana Kanda. So what is stated in the Karma Kanda? We must know. In the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, it is stated that go ahead and worship the form of the Lord. But for who? Now you have two statements. Karma Kanda says worship the Lord with form. Jnana Kanda says Lord is no form. So we have to understand the Karma Kanda is directed to those who their minds have not yet been trained yet. They do not have superior control over the mind. So for those people, for the householders, for those extroverted people, the path of worship of form is prescribed. And once you have stabilized your mind, then you come to the path of knowledge. Then when you have knowledge that God is formless, then only you go to the second part where you meditate on the formless. So we should not get confused. Both parts are important. We start with meditation on the form and we end up with meditation on the form. So both parts are valid to train our mind. So when Krishna explains that there are two aspects to the Lord, form and formless, in chapters 7 to 12, 7 to 11 actually, in chapter 12, which we are now in, the very first question Arjuna asked the Lord, "O Lord, since you say that you are both in form and in formless, which worship is more superior?" That's all we also want to know. Which worship will take me directly to moksha? So Krishna answers this. He says in verse number 2, chapter 12, first he deals with worship of the form. Okay? He's answering Arjuna's question now. So first he tells Arjuna, for those who worship God with form, Saguna Ishvara, what does he say? I consider them the most perfect devotees. So the answer is given there. Those who worship the God with form, Saguna Ishvara, I consider them the most perfect devotees. Then in verses 3 and 4, he talks about worship of Nirguna, the formless. So first of all, he identifies what is Nirguna. In verse 3, he gives us 8 qualities of this Nirguna. Okay, he's formless, he's changeless, he's beyond time and space, and all those qualities. Now, what happens to those people who worship Nirguna Ishvara? In verse 4, he says, they come to me. Excuse me. They come to me. What did he say about worship of the form? Do they go to him? He says they are the most perfect devotees. Full stop. But those who worship me with form, they come to me. So then you say, Krishna, why don't I just worship you in the formless? Why should I worship you in form? So then he gives us the warning in verse number 5. He says, Klesha dikataras tesham. The path of the unmanifest, avyakta, the unmanifest, is most difficult. He didn't say impossible. He says it's most difficult. Who is it difficult for, Krishna? The path of worship of unmanifest. Krishna is saying it's very difficult, so be careful. Who is it difficult for? Who is that worship of the unmanifest difficult for? He identifies the devotee in verse 5. Embodied beings, Deha Vadbir. What do you mean by embodied beings? Those who have a body. So that means if you want to worship him, what do you have to do with your body? Discard your body. So we must be very careful not to take a literal translation of the Sanskrit verses. What does embodied beings mean? Those who have attachment to the body, those who have attachment to the house, to family, to all these things. We have attachment, ego, anger, jealousy, pride. That is the embodied being. So he says, first get rid of those. Get your mind under control. Then you meditate on the unmanifest. Okay, Krishna, how do I do it? So then in verses 6, 7, 8, until verse number 11, he gave us a step-by-step process. If you can't worship the unmanifest, come down one level. We've discussed all this, so I'm not going to go through. If you can't do level 4, come to level 3. So slowly, you start with the lowest form, you worship, you do seva, you do dhanam, you do all kinds of spiritual acts to purify your mind. Then you come to worship the form, and then you come to knowledge, and then you come to worship the formless. So the pathway is very clearly laid out for us. We don't have to get confused. Okay? You don't have to jump straight away to worship of unmanifest. First, you work on your mind first and start purifying your mind through various sadhanas. Now, excuse me. Having explained to us this worship of the form and the formless, then from verses 13 right up to verse 20, he gives us 30 over qualities of a true devotee of Lord. Now, if you want to know, am I progressing on the spiritual path? Am I going in the right direction? There are 35 qualities which we need to, 30 plus qualities which we need to note down and use it as a checklist to measure our progress on the spiritual path. So we have gone through verses 13 up to 17, and today we'll look at the balance 3 verses that will close chapter 12. Okay. So what are the other qualities that he talks about? Now, we all think that being a devotee of the Lord is going to temple, offering flowers, singing some bhajans, doing some seva. No. Here he's giving us qualities that are very, very important. These are not just rituals and prayers that he's asking us to do. These are qualities which we need to have ourselves. So we look at verse number 18. He says, who is a true devotee of the Lord? One who is samaha. Samaha means same, equal-minded towards who? Atro, those who are your enemies, and mitra, those who are your friends. Now, how is it possible? I can love my friends, I can forgive all your mistakes, but how do you expect me to forgive my enemies? So here he's telling us a very important point about a true devotee of the Lord. If you are a true devotee of the Lord, you will not look at a person from the viewpoint of his body and his actions. Now you remember one example I gave you all some time back. Adi Shankaracharya wrote about an example of the sandalwood. You remember that? What is the qualities of a sandalwood? The natural qualities of the sandalwood, it gives fragrance, right? Everybody loves to smell that sandalwood. But if you take that sandalwood and leave it out in the rain, in the environment, and it rains, after a while, what happens? A layer of moss will gather over the sandalwood. Then, is there fragrance from the sandalwood? No, you only get a very foul smell. But is the foul smell a natural property of sandalwood? No. So we know that. In the same way, a bhakta of the Lord looks upon the whole creation, whether they are his friends or whether they are his enemies, understanding that their intrinsic quality, their real fundamental quality is what? They are pure by nature. They are all divine souls. They are not impure, they are all pure by nature. But just like the sandalwood has got a covering, that purity of the nature has been covered by all these impurities like anger, greed, jealousy, etc. So a devotee of the Lord is one who looks through that and only recognizes the divinity in each person. It's not easy, but this is something we have to train our mind. We have to understand. There's no point to come to a temple and pray to the Lord, sing his glories and bhajans, and then end up cursing half the people in the temple. You know, I don't like the clothes he's wearing, I don't like the way he's behaving, I don't like his hairstyle, and all kinds of things, you know. So we are trained, we have to train ourselves to look beyond the physical and the actions and learn to separate and only see divinity. It's not easy, but this is something we have to keep on constantly reminding ourselves. Okay? So that is one quality is telling us here. Samaha Sangavi Varjit, Samaha Satro Chamitre Cha. Next quality is, now one thing we must also consider here. Supposing that person who's your enemy gets violent towards you, are you supposed to say, Hari Om, you can slap me wherever you want? You know, they say you slap me on the left cheek, I offer you the right cheek, also you slap, also everywhere you slap me, left, right, left, right. You remember when the Kauravas were what we call against the Pandavas. They did many things to harm the Pandavas. What did Krishna tell them? They stole their kingdom. They did many evil acts on the Pandavas. What did Krishna tell them? Before they went to war, what did he tell them? First, go and talk to them, negotiate with them, tell them what they are doing is wrong. So you don't immediately go and retaliate. You first talk to them. And after repeated negotiations, they still don't want to listen. Then what did Krishna tell them? Now you go to war. Now you have to take back. If you have to use force, you have to take back your kingdom, go ahead and do it. So even if you look at Krishna, he even killed the demons who tried to attack him. So force is to be used only as a last resort. First of all, we try to negotiate, we try to explain. But if that doesn't work, we have every right to defend ourselves. Okay? But when you retaliate, you must understand also that you should not retaliate with anger. You still have to look at the divinity of that person, but you are retaliating against not the person, but the action. So we have to understand to separate the person and to the person you give love, to the action you give the appropriate. Again, as I say, it's not easy, but something food for thought we have to train our mind. Next quality, he says, Tatha also, one must be even-minded in two situations. What are the two situations? Mana, honor. Apamana, dishonor. So we all know that not always we are going to be what we call. There are times when people will honor you. They will say, they will garland you, they will give you respect. And there are times when there is apamana, people will dishonor you. They will say, they will give you disrespect. They won't give you honor. So the bhakta does not get disturbed. Why does he not get disturbed when, of course, if he's honored, he's okay. But also be very careful. When you're honored, what is our natural tendency? People give you a lot of honor. What is the natural tendency? Ego comes there. We should not get carried away. And when you're dishonored, so when you're dishonored, how do you understand the situation? Why are you sometimes honored, sometimes you're dishonored? The same people sometimes who honor you are the same people who dishonor you. Why does that happen? Why is that happening in our lives? What is the reason? Huh? What is it? Yeah, what? Jealous? Remember prarabdha karma? You have to burn up those prarabdha karma. So when they are honoring you, you're burning up your good prarabdha karmas. When they are dishonoring you, you're burning up your negative prarabdha karmas. And a devotee of the Lord understands that he cannot always be what the right situation for him. There will be times he's honored, there will be times he is dishonored. So when he is honored, what does he do? He thanks the Lord for giving him that honor. He what we call, he transfers that honor to the Lord. When he is dishonored, he also thanks the Lord. Why? Why should you thank the Lord when you're dishonored? One is opportunity to clear karma. Good. What else? Remember, if when you're dishonored and you can maintain your patience and you can control your anger, you have to thank the Lord that He has given you that opportunity to help you control your anger and give you that patience to tolerate all this that is going on. So, both ways there are lessons to be learned also. Don't get carried away, and also at the same time, don't get angry and impatient also. Next quality, Amaha, again, what we call even-minded in Sita. Sita is cold, Usna is heat, Sukha is favorable, Dukha is unfavorable. Now, here we are talking about different levels of what we call experiences. Sita, Usna refer to the physical level. See, same like a devotee of the Lord is not mentally disturbed, he is also not disturbed when there are certain physical things. Supposing you have some medical problems, you're going through some issues with your body, some health problems and all that. Or there are times, you see, do you know why we say Shanti, Om Shanti 3 times? Shanti, 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 you say 3 times. Do you know? Why do you say Shanti 3 times? Not 4 times, 5 times, not one time. Or what? You're near the answer. Near the answer. You all say Shanti, Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Next time say one more time. Why you stop at 3? See, 3 refers to the 3 types of what we call the challenges that we face. The first challenge is from our own body, dealing with all the physical defects of our body, health problems, etc. So we ask for Shanti for that, that may our body remain healthy. Okay? The second Shanti is challenges that we face from the environment, like earthquakes, floods, thunderstorms, and all these kind of things. That also cause problems in our lives. So may the environment also be friendly to us. And the third Shanti, where can the third problem come from? From people and animals and insects and things like that. So first is your body, second is the environment, third is by through people and through animals, insects, etc. So we are asking for protection from all the 3. So here also Sita Usna is a devotee who has risen above that. He does not focus on the physical challenges that his body is going through. He learns to overcome that. He does not complain about adverse conditions that are happening to his body. Okay? So that is Sita Usna. Sukha Dukha is at the mental level, because we experience happiness, Sukha and Dukha at the mental level. So both at physical and mental level, we do not get disturbed. As we all know, again, what we are going through is we are burning up our prarabdha karmas also. Then we come to the next qualities. Sangha vivarjita. Sangha is attachment. Vivarjita means one who is free from that attachment. Now, if you go back to chapter 2, verse 59, go back to chapter 2, verse 59. How does attachment start? How does attachment start? The very source of our attachment. You go back to chapter 2, verse 59. Okay, the Lord says there, He says, sense objects cease for him who does not enjoy them with the senses. Now, what does this mean? Where does your attachments all start from? From the senses. Senses are called what in Sanskrit? Indriyas. Indriyas also mean tentacles. So your senses, your eyes, your nose, your ears, your tongue, your skin, they like to go outwards towards the world to experience all kinds of sensations. Now, it all starts with your senses. So if you're passing by a shop with a window display and there is an iPhone 16 there, and you stand there and you look at it, you look at it, you look at it, okay? Then you walk away. Then what happens? Now the object is no more in your sight. But where does the problem happen now? It has already entered to your mind. So that's why they say a disciplined person is one who has got discipline over all the five senses, not just one sense, but all the five senses. Be very careful because your senses are your gateway to the world. What you're letting in through your senses will register in your mind. So here he says, sense objects cease for him who does not enjoy with his senses, but the taste for them persists because now it is already lodged in your mind. So now what do? You have a problem now. iPhone 16 is sitting in your mind now. iPhone 16, iPhone 16. Whole day your mind is singing iPhone songs. So now what do? So he says there in the next part of the verse, this relish also disappears. This taste, which is now lodged in your mind, also disappears in the case of the man of stable mind when he sees the Supreme. Now, what does it mean in simple terms? How do you get rid of your desires? If you have desires for the world, how do you get rid of these desires? He's given us the answer here. How do you get rid of your desires? Balance mind. How do you mean? Oh, you're dangerous. It is not balanced mind, it is imbalanced mind already. Can you suppress desires? It can work to a certain extent. Can work. So you suppress desires, after a while they will come again. What happens if you keep on expressing all your desires? Whatever you desire, you go ahead and do. Buy this, buy that, go here, go there. See your credit card bill and of money, you have heart attack. So you can't suppress. Dangerous to express. The only thing you can do is take up higher desires. Only a higher desire can replace your lower desires. That's why we are asked to engage constantly in satsang, mix with the right minded people, go to the right places, read the right type of literature, hear the right type of bhajans hear bhajans, hear spiritual talks. All the time your mind is focused on the higher desire. When your mind is focused on the higher desire, the lower desires naturally drop away. Just like when you were a child, you desired to have a balloon, right? Most important thing was you love to have a balloon. But when did your desire for balloon drop away? I hope you still don't have desire for balloon. When you took up desire for bicycle, then your desire for bicycle drops away when you have desire for car. So every higher desire replaces the lower desire. So you can only handle your lower desires or remove them when you take up a higher noble life. When your mind is focused on something high and you find happiness and you find peace in that higher desire, naturally these lower desires they drop. So here he says the same thing. Anga Vivarjita, one who is not attached to all these worldly objects. Why? Because he or she has found peace with the higher desires. Okay? Purnatvam, that's what the term they use in Sanskrit. Purnatvam means fullness. You found that Purnatvam in a higher desire. Then we go to verse 19. In verse 19, he gives us more qualities. Tulya Ninda Stuti. Tulya means same. Again in two qualities. Ninda means faults. And stuti means good qualities. So again, here, now, what is the difference here and the previous verse? Previous verse also, they said also positive, negative. Here also they say faults and good qualities. Here we are talking about verbal people who praise you verbally. Be very careful about those people, right? Don't get carried away by people who are praising you. So, uh, stuti means people who praise your good qualities. Because also, again, we can get carried away, we can get arrogant, we can get very egoistical. So, we must learn how to handle also when people are constantly praising us. Oh, brother, you're doing a good job. This you're doing good, that you're doing good, until you think that you're so fantastic. But no, everything is in the hands of the Lord. So there's always a prayer I heard recently, that the prayer of the devotee to the Lord is this. He says to the Lord, "Oh Lord, everything in this world, actually you are the one who's doing everything. Without your blessings, without your grace, nothing is going to happen in this world. If I am doing good things, it's because of what? Because you are blessing me, because you are what you call giving me your good blessings. But in the world, who does the world thank when I do good things? It is the Lord's blessings that I'm able to do good things. But who does the world thank? Do they thank the Lord or they thank the person? They thank the person. So we have to remember when we are thanked that without the Lord, nothing is possible. We are nothing without the Lord. Without His blessings, without His grace, we cannot do anything at all. A devotee of the Lord has got to keep this. So sometimes people praise your good qualities, and at the same time, there are people who always pick on your faults and they criticize you also. So we have to learn to handle that. That is a true devotee of the Lord who is able to take both the good and the bad. After all, you look at the life of Krishna, you look at the life of Jesus Christ, etc. They were all heavily persecuted, right? Such divine people, and yet people were so angry with them. They tried to harm them and do all kinds of things, but they knew how to handle it. So tulya ninda stuti. Next quality, mauni, very important quality. Maintain silence. Speak only when it is necessary. Number one. Number two, it is always so good every day to keep 5, 10, 15 minutes aside. Nowadays they have a new term for it. They call it me time. Right? Me time is what? Spend time knowing your own self. So last time our saints and sages already said Mauni, silence. Spend 15 minutes, go and sit quietly in a corner and just don't think of anything. Just be relaxed. Okay? Concentrate on your breathing and just be relaxed. Mauni. So talk at the right time. And if you want to know what is the right way to talk, refer to chapter 17, verse 15. There Krishna tells us what is the austerity of speech. So how we should guard our speech, what are the controls that we need on our speech. Chapter 17, verse 15 also. Okay. Next quality, santushta, be content. Yena kena chit, with anything, whatever the situation, whatever food you have on your table, whatever clothes you have to wear, whatever situation you are in life, you have to learn to be. So that what we call that attitude of gratitude must be there. Okay. So again, doesn't mean that because now you're riding high, you got a fantastic career, you've got lots of money in your bank, everything is going fine. Situation can change anytime. So you have to be learn to be content with everything also. And that's why you see when the sannyasis they go around begging from house to house. So what do they say? The words they use. Bhavati Diksha Dehi. Bhavati, may you give me Diksha, meaning what is the word for Diksha? English, what I say? Alms, right? Alms. So may you give me alms. So Bhavati Diksha Dehi. They don't say Bhavati Panir Dehi, Bhavati Puri Dehi. They don't dictate that you must give me this. That means they open their hands, whatever is comes into their hand, they accept it. And why particularly the hands? Or they use a begging bowl. Why? Why do they just use their hands or a begging bowl? Yeah, but why particularly that? Huh? Only that amount I am satisfied with that, right? So don't go taking a big begging bowl like that and asking for more food. Small begging bowl or just what is contained in the two palms of your hands. That is, and don't forget when they go in back, that is their one meal of the day. That's it. They don't need after that. So be satisfied, be content with whatever you receive also. Next quality, you all might not be happy. Aniketa. What is aniketa? Homeless. Homeless means what? Again, don't take direct translation. Huh? Tomorrow you want to give up your home or something. That is not the true bhakta of the Lord. What does homeless mean? Aniketa, homeless. Don't be attached to your possessions, your home, your family, your what you call your all the possessions or whatever in your house. Don't be attached to it. Again, prarabdha karma can come and give you anytime. Prarabdha karma also can come and take away anytime. So don't be attached. Aniketa, homeless. Next quality, stira matir. Stira, steady minded, fixed minded. Now, when we say fixed minded, this is also one of the most important qualities because when we start on the spiritual journey, we must have a goal of what we want to achieve, right? There is recently I came across a very nice saying, faith, 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 without action is not faith. You understand? Faith, 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 without action is not faith. I can have faith in God, but what am I doing about it? I sit down in the house and I do nothing about it. Faith has got to be backed by action. What do I want to do? How do I want to develop that faith? How I want to reach the goal? So this quality, sthiramatir, steady-minded means don't lose sight of your goal because when we start our day from Monday to Friday, we are caught in so many things. We get exhausted. We miss what our original goal in life is. I'm not saying forget all your what you call all your other goals in life. Don't forget that. But spirituality is your main goal in life. Don't ever forget that. When you keep spirituality as your main goal in life, then everything will align with that goal. You will not violate that goal. So keep that in mind is to attain that oneness with God. So every day you have to therefore keep time aside. Very important to keep time aside. Either you meditate or you pray or you read the scriptures. Otherwise, you are never going to reach that goal. That's why I say you have faith. All of you have faith in God, but you need to back it up with the right. Otherwise, your faith will just be wasted. So there is a text written by Adi Sankaracharya called Yati Panchakam. Yati means one who has realized his real self. Panchakam means 5 verses. So each verse he ends with this beautiful line to identify who is the one who has attained self-realization. It says, Aupina Vanta Khalu Bhagyavanta. Bhagyavantaha, blessed are those. Who are those who are blessed? Who wear the kaupina. You know what's the kaupina? It is the loin cloth that the sages wear. Now he's not telling us, all of us, let's go and wear the loin cloth and walk around, you'll be picked up by Tanjung Rambutan when. So here, what does it mean? What does the kaupina mean? He says, blessed are those who wear the kaupina. Simplicity in life meaning also accept what we call be acceptable to every situation in life. Okay? Accept whatever you have in life. So with the barest minimum, they live their lives. Those are the most fortunate ones who never think of what they don't have. Our problem of the mind is we are happy with what we have, but we are unhappy with what we don't have. So it says, blessed are those who are content with the loincloth, with the kaupina. And then he gives us many qualities of who is the true person who has realized the self. He says the one who begs with two, what do you call, with his hands, meaning again who's content with whatever food he receives for the day. Okay? So here the Lord concludes in this verse. He says, Bhaktiman Naraha Priyo Me. This person who has all these qualities that he has mentioned, all that we've been going through, is the one the Lord says is Priya, is very dear to me. So therefore, see here the Lord is not saying I'm happy with the devotee who brings flowers to me, who does abhishekam, who puts thousands and thousands of leaves here, who erects multi-million dollar temples and all. He's telling us the most simplest basic things. Who does the Lord love? The one who has these qualities. He says, Bhaktiman Naraha, Naraha, the person, Priyo, who's so dear to me, is the one who has all these qualities. He is the true Bhakta. So from verses 13 to 19, 33 qualities of a true Bhakta has been given. I urge you to make a checklist of this and to monitor your own progress with this checklist. So in chapter 12, we have the true qualities of a Bhakta. Earlier in chapter 2, verses 55 to 72, 18 verses, he gave us a true quality of a Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna and the Bhakta is one and the same. There is no difference. If you look at those qualities in chapter 2 and these qualities in chapter 12, they are also the same. Okay? So whichever qualities you choose, make a list and start imbibing these qualities also. Okay? Again in chapter 14, verses 22 to 25, he will tell who is a Gunatit. See, Gunatit means one who has risen above the three gunas. The same qualities are qualities of a Bhakta. So in three places in the Gita, you will find almost the similar qualities. Chapter 2, chapter 12 and chapter 14. Whichever verses you refer to, I think chapter 12 will be more easier for us to follow. Okay? And finally, we come to the last verse of chapter 12, which is verse number 20. So he says, Hey Bhakta, those devotees, he's giving the conclusion or the summary of the true Bhakta here. Okay? Who consider me as Mat Parama, as the supreme goal. So this is what I said earlier. You have to decide. You have many, many goals in life. Those are fine. You can work towards them. But you must have one primary goal in life. Are you serious about the spiritual path? So you have to decide whether you are serious, lay down your goals, and then put the plan into practice. Okay? Faith with practice. So he says, those devotees who Mat Parama, who consider me as the ultimate goal, that means when you consider God as your ultimate goal, understand one thing, you will never do any action that violates Dharma. If you are serious about the spiritual path, excuse me, if you consider God as your ultimate goal, you will not do anything that will violate Dharma. So even in your daily life, you will be very careful the actions that you do in your house, in your workplace, in your career, etc. You will be very careful. Okay? So Mat Parama. Second quality is Shraddha Dana. You must be endowed with faith. So two qualities he gives us here. Mat Parama, consider me as a supreme goal. Shraddha Dana, endowed with faith. Pariyupasate, they worship me with commitment. Okay? And Lord says here, this is the idam dharmya mridam. Dharma amritam. Amritam is the nectar. This is the all these practices which has given us here, the 33 qualities. This is what is called walking the path of dharma. You ask a question, what is dharma? God is saying, idam dharmya amritam. This is the amrit, the path of dharma, which is the nectar of dharma. He has given us the very essence. Yatha Uttam, as stated in the verses, Priya, and such kind of devotees are Priya, dear to me. Those who follow these qualities, who imbibe these qualities, they are walking the path of Dharma and they are the most of my beloved devotee. So this is how the Lord has concluded this. Okay, and that's ends chapter 12. So we've completed the bhakti portion. When we come back again, we will complete the third and the final section, the 6 chapters of the Gita, which deal with Jnana Yoga, the path of self-knowledge. Okay? So I will stop here, and since we have some time, is there any questions that you would like to ask since we've completed these first 12 chapters? Is there any questions? Yes, content, yes. Okay, good question. See, when we talk about contentment, we are not talking about what is your daily nature, your daily life. If you're a teacher, you're a lawyer, whatever you are, always, or a businessman, you always have to keep on improving. There's nothing wrong with that. So, as long as you stick to the path of dharma, you don't violate dharma. Whatever you do to improve yourself, there's nothing wrong. Here, what we're talking about content is we're talking about material possessions. When we get greedy about material possessions, and when this greed overpowers us, that is where we have a tendency to violate. So we have to check ourselves why we are asked to be content is that we don't get carried away, don't get greedy, and don't violate dharma. But if it is part and parcel of our duty, if you're a householder, you want to do the best for your house, if you're a lawyer or a doctor or a engineer, whatever, you want to do the best in your profession, you're not violating dharma, you're following the path of dharma, there's no issue. Any other question? No questions? No question. Everybody understood everything. Anyway, you can think about it. If you still have any more questions, you can also put in the WhatsApp chat group, or you can come next week and we will pick up that. Any questions that you have also. Otherwise, we will start with the new topic in chapter 13. Okay, and with the prayer. Vasudeva Sudam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Thank you.